Good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm Kanishri from IIC Club. So I would like to ask you all one thing. How many of you want to pursue civils in future? Can you raise your hands? Well, that's quite a lot. How many of you started preparing for civils? Okay, how many of you didn't start and don't know how to start? Okay, well, you are in the right place. We have Mr. Vinay Kumar GB, who will be guiding us for preparation in civils. Vinay Kumar GB is the founder and director of Insights IAS, a leading institute for civil service examination preparation in India. He has revolutionized the way aspiring prepare for the highly competitive exams by developing a holistic approach that focuses on building necessary skills and mindsets. Vinay Kumar's innovative technique, methods, and ability to simplify complex concepts have helped students perform exceptionally well in the examination. He remained actively involved in mentoring and guiding students through regular workshops, seminars, and interactive sessions. His contribution has transformed the lives of many aspirants and established him as a leading figure in the domain of civil service coaching. Now, I would like to call Mr. Vinay Kumar GB on the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. So it is glad to know that those who are present here, all of you are already made up your minds to prepare for civil services and to become IAS and IPS and IFS. Anybody Indian Foreign Service here? Anybody want to become IFS? Very good, excellent. IPS? No one? One, very good. And all of you want to become IAS. So let us start from basics. I'm sure you know the scheme of examination, right? So what are the different stages and how it is conducted and age limit, number of attempts, all of you are aware about it? I just briefly talk about it, okay? So now what is the difference between civil service and public service? So you keep hearing, I want to be part of public service, right? And when we talk about civil services examination, the word public service doesn't figure, it says a civil service examination. So what is the difference between civil service and public service? Can anyone answer here? Because you have already started preparing for civil services. I'm sure you have some idea, faint idea what it is. So what is the difference between civil service and public service? Very good. Very good. So civil service is a formal way of, participating in public service. It's mostly employed by the government, your salary, and you directly report to the government, not to any political party. Whereas public servant report to a political party, right? And also civil service comes under public service as well. So now you are going to be part of the permanent executive, right? So for that to happen, there are few fundamental things that you need to remember. Now let us talk briefly about the examination. There are 3 stages. One is preliminary examination, mains examination, and then personality test or the interview. So in preliminary examination, we have 2 papers. One is general studies paper and another is civil services aptitude test. So did any one of you check the 2023 question papers? So how many of you just glanced through the questions? Preliminary? Yeah. So it got over on May 28th. So there was uproar, there was so much debate happening around the nature of questions that appeared in this year. So everybody was telling that this was the most difficult paper that any UPSC aspirant has faced in last 2 decades. The paper that came on May 28th. So in general studies paper 1, you have largely syllabus. You have syllabus in front of you. It is mostly about current affairs, national, international, and then geography, India and world, and then history, ancient, medieval, modern, and then you have economy, polity, general science, related to social issues. So this is broadly called as general studies. And then you have CSAT paper, civil services aptitude test. So in that you have 2 broad categories. One is related to comprehension, English comprehension. So they give only English and Hindi languages in the question paper. There is no Kannada comprehension or Telugu comprehension. So basically, those who are from non-Hindi speaking regions, they have to be good in English, right? And another part is the quant which you do, like reasoning, logical reasoning, and number systems, all other things. So that is the preliminary examination. So in CSAT paper, you have to score 66.6 marks. It is qualifying in nature. So if you score only 66.6 and above, then only paper 1, that is GS, will be evaluated. So now the cutoff of paper 1, which is for 200 marks, has been decreasing, has been reducing steadily since last 4 years. It used to be around 108, and then came to around 102, and then came to around 98. It came to around 92.5 in 2021, and in 2022 it has come down to 88. So 88 marks in preliminary paper 1, that is general studies paper 1, was the cutoff for the general category, around 76 for the SC/ST category. So if you had scored 88 plus above, you would be eligible for writing the mains examination. Now the decreasing cutoff, what it indicates is that it is because of the two factors. One is the difficult nature of the general studies paper 1, as well as the difficult nature of the CSAT. So now the CSAT has become so difficult, now it is equal to the level of CAT examination. Right? When they introduced CSAT was introduced in 2011. Before 2011, there was no separate CSAT paper. So quantitative aptitude was part of the general studies paper, and there used to be optional paper in prelims before 2011. So then UPSC, as part of its reforms, introduced aptitude test, because that was very much a necessity to test aptitude of candidates, because we are living in a very complex world, complex challenges. It requires problem solving skills, right? Quick thinking skills, critical thinking, ability to comprehend complex issues very fast. So on thinking about these things, they introduced CSAT paper in 2011. When it was introduced, the paper was very easy, and its marks was counted as part of the preliminary screening. Like paper 1 and CSAT scores were clubbed together, and then the cutoff was decided. So people like you, coming from engineering background, you people used to score out of 200, 190, 195, 198 also in CSAT. So in general studies paper 1, even if you had scored 20, 30, 40, you would still be eligible. The cutoff used to be around 220, 230 in 2011 and 12. So seeing this trend where most of the engineers were having a free pass to write the mains examination, it was mostly biased against people from humanities background and other non-engineering background, who didn't have any kind of mathematics background. So now they started increasing the difficulty. So it has reached to the level of CAT, the present paper, both the comprehension and both the questions in the aptitude part. Right. And then when you qualify the preliminary examination, you are eligible for the mains. So in mains, you have 9 papers. So what are the 9 papers? There are 5 general studies papers. So 1 essay paper and 4 general studies, GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4. So you can just look into the syllabus. I won't go much into the syllabus. And then there are 1 optional paper, but for 1 optional subject, there are 2 papers, 250 marks each. So 500 marks for the optional, and 1250 marks for general studies papers, right? Now combined together, out of 1750 marks, it is the competition in mains. So around 4 to 5 lakh people write prelims, 12 to 13,000 people become eligible to write mains. So around 12 to 13,000 people who write mains, what is the highest score that one can score in mains? Any idea? Yeah, so this year, Ishita Kishore, her main score is 901. Out of 1750, 901 is the highest score scored by an individual in the mains stage of this examination. The next highest is around 970, and then it gradually reduces to 870, 850, 840, something like this. Right? So those who have scored between 800 to 900, you will see them, most of them are in the top 150 ranks, which means they are eligible within general category, both for IAS and IPS. So going by the last year cutoff, there are 180 IAS posts, there are 200 IPS posts. If you want to be in IAS, you have to be in top 75 to 80 ranks if you come under the general category, right? So under OBC, it comes, sometimes it varies to till 300 also, right? Till 350 in some cases. So for general, you have to be under around 220 ranks if you want IPS, right? Indian Foreign Service usually ends around 95 to 100 ranks because the posts are very less, 35 Indian Foreign Service posts. So the highest mark that is scored in the essay paper out of 250 marks, right, is around 145 to 150. So this year around 149 is the highest score in the essay paper. Last year it was 151. So in general studies papers, it varies from 120 to 130 marks. And then in the optional, out of 500, highest one can score is around 300 to 310 marks right now. So I'll talk about which optional to decide briefly. So now the competition is so tough that for every mark there are 10 to 15 candidates are there in the toppers list. For example, there is a document released by the UPSC where all the toppers, this year around 933 ranks were declared. So among the 933 ranks, they have released the mains marks and then the interview marks. So rank 1 has scored 901 in mains, around 176 something in interview. Rank 2, 870 something and 197 in the interview. And rank 41, 820 marks and in interview 197. You remember this. Rank 41, 820 marks in the mains stage, 197 in the interview. Rank 406, similarly 18 marks, just 2 marks lower than the rank 41, rank 406. But in interview, 143 marks. So because she scored less marks in interview, out of 275, 143 was the mark scored by the rank 406. If she had scored 197 or even 201, highest given is 210 this year. If she had scored 210, her rank would have been somewhere around 20s. Right? So now this brings to the point that interview plays a pivotal role, extremely important role in ensuring whether you are going to definitely get IAS or IPS. Right? By scoring very high marks in the main stage, if you are very good with general awareness, right, general knowledge and understanding of all the general issues, so if you can score 850 plus in the main stage, including optional, you can be in the list, even if you score 130, 140. Right? There are 21 services. Right? There is one exam, but there are 21 services. The topmost is IAS, and then IPS, Indian Foreign Service, and then Indian Revenue Service, Income Tax, Indian Revenue Service, Customs Excise, and then there are so many services related to accounts, Defense Account Service, Defense Estate Service, Civil Account Service. There is Pondicherry Civil Services separately included here, and there is Andaman Nicobar separate civil services. We call it DANIPS and DANICS, right? And then Pondix and Pondips. And there are Railway Protection Force. So all these exams, all these services come under one examination. Depending on your rank, you get it. So in a general category, if you're in the top 400, at least in Indian Revenue Service is assured. Now the point here is that when you qualify in mains, right? So you will be called for the interview, personality test. So in interview, it is conducted for 275 marks at the UPSC building in Delhi, with the panel consisting of 5 members, including one UPSC member. There will be one UPSC member and other 4, panel member. One is drawn from civil service, one is drawn from the defenses, one is drawn from academics, one can be drawn from non-academics, or like somebody who is actively participating in social activism or arts and culture. Right? There will be 4 panel members. So 5 members will probe you in depth. During mains, when you clear prelims, you will fill an application form called as detailed application form. There are 2 detailed application forms. In one detailed application form, you fill about your education qualifications, your employment details, everything related to your background, where you were born, where you were coming from, parents' name, parents' occupation, everything. There is another detailed application form. It is popularly called as DAF, right? So in DAF 2, you include there is an interesting column where you include all the scholarships, prizes, medals you have won, all the sports activities that have been part of so far, and all the leadership roles that you have taken during your college or school days. And then there is another hobbies, interests, or extracurricular activities. So these four columns is the material, is the available details in front of them, which will initiate a conversation with you in the interview panel. So, for example, if someone you are coming from civil background, civil engineering background, but for some reasons you are deeply interested in artificial intelligence and machine learning, following any developments in this particular field. So you have mentioned that following or writing about or blogging about artificial intelligence and its developments as your hobby. So as a panel member, I'll be definitely interested in asking a question on that. Like, being civil engineer, how did you get interested in this particular hobby? What have you learned so far? What do you think about the future of artificial intelligence? What do you think is going to be the impact of artificial intelligence on your own branch of engineering, civil engineering? Is there any scope? Do you think artificial intelligence will someday displace jobs in civil engineering as well, as it is feared in the other fields? So what do you think going to be the impact of artificial intelligence in civil services? How do you improve governance by using the artificial intelligence? So the questions can be anything. So they will try to test whether the hobby you are following, have been following passionately or not, right? And if you have done NCCC certificate, B certificate, there will be questions on that. You have been actively part of NSS, right? So there will be questions about it, all the camps, all the social initiatives that have been part of. So they will ask how passionately you did and about its understanding, like whether you internalized whatever you have done. Did it add anything to your personality, a new dimension to your personality, or was it just for the sake of certificate or not? So an individual who speaks passionately, clearly, convincingly, with conviction about any question that is being asked, the highest is given is around 210 marks. Right? Now, the reason I have come here is not to give the details of this examination. So this is so far about the details of the examination. Now, when you are studying in a good institution, right? When you are studying in good institution like BMS or RV, or like recently we went to Bengaluru Medical College also. Nearly 75 to 80 students who are solely preparing for civil services attended from first year to postgraduate students. I recently went to IIT Delhi also. I was invited in IIT Delhi campus to talk about the civil services. They had fest in January. So one message I want to communicate to you students, when you are interested in civil services, you have to remember that this examination is not about gaining knowledge. This examination is not about knowing everything about every part of the syllabus and assuming that prepares you for the examination. Right? It is a wrong notion and a wrong belief and perception. You should definitely gain knowledge. There should be hunger for knowledge, and hunger for knowledge begins with having a deep curiosity about things happening around you. Curiosity should be the driving force. There should be hunger for knowledge. But in addition to this, you should also go through transformation, some kind of metamorphosis in your personality. Right? I started this institution in 2014, Insights IAS. Since then, I've been guiding thousands of students, thousands of ranks have come. So I'm literally, I don't know, thousands of people have spoken. So recently we got 220 plus ranks. So this year interview, when it was happening between January 28th to May 18th, the interview was conducted between these dates for 2022 civil service examination. During that time, I conducted one-on-one mock interviews for 600 candidates. 600 candidates who appeared in this year interview. They cleared prelims, they cleared mains, and they came from every part of India. So last year also I did for around 530 candidates, before that around 500 candidates. The reason why I'm mentioning is that when I was speaking to them, I usually take 30 to 45 minutes session with them, trying to understand depth of their personality, suitability for the UPSC interview, how much they have prepared. If there are any mistakes, to guide them, how to better prepared to answer any kind of question. The questions can be anything in interview. It starts with your detailed application form based on the depth you are providing, right? So it can go into any direction, right? But you should be ready for both saying no, I don't know, right? If you don't know any answer, you should be mentally ready to say, honestly, you don't know about the answer. People have this resistance to saying no. You know that, right? Like you have tendency to, you feel like you need to answer. Or if you don't answer, you feel like you should know something about this. You know, that compulsion is there because of our education system. In the interview, it is not like that. So what I noticed is that because people come from different education background, somebody can be because of socioeconomic, poor socioeconomic status, because of not so good school education, they might end up studying in a local college which is not doing well academically, right? Doesn't have good infrastructure, doesn't have good lecturers, doesn't have playground, doesn't have any kind of facility. So they end up just appearing in the examination, they score few marks, but they still have the ambition to become IAS. So they were never exposed to any kind of the fests which you organize. You know, you invite all the big personalities from different fields. You know, you expose like maybe in your own field from different fields, and you give chance to students to interact with them, listen to them. Right? It doesn't happen with everyone. So what I noticed is that so when you don't get that kind of exposure in the interview, you perform very poorly. Right? You lack confidence to communicate your ideas because you have never done that before. Right? You lack conviction in your answer because you have fear, because you haven't expressed these views in front of an audience or in front of any individual that you don't know. Like you have fear of being judged. Right? You have fear of being watched and observed by everyone. You become so conscious. And also lack of communication skill with respect to English. So we have English medium schools, but people don't speak in English, right? Like in Karnataka, we have that. Every village has an English medium school. Every town has an English medium school. It is boldly written as English medium school, but like some of you might be from those schools, right? You have been through that education, but you've never had an opportunity to speak in English, communicate in English. Now suddenly after even during graduation also, only provided if you have a North Indian friend or maybe Kerala friend in your class, maybe you might interact in English. Otherwise, if you have made friends with same, like from Davangere, Tumkur, Tiptur, right? So then you will usually converse in Kannada language. And then after graduation, I have seen people coming from best engineering colleges, even medical college within Karnataka also. Not everyone is fluent in communicating in English. The language is a very important tool if you want to really communicate what the ideas you have in your head. After clearing mains, it is sure shot, it is obvious that you possess knowledge, right? Because you have written answers for 1750 marks and cleared that stage means you don't lack the knowledge that is there. To filter it and express in a very clear manner, you need certain training. But those who come from even good colleges, they lack these kind of skills because during the graduation period, they somehow refrain from participating in these kind of extracurricular activities, whether it is sports, dance, music, quiz competitions, writing competitions, debating competitions, NSS activities, and NCC, any kind of leadership opportunities that come in your way. Many people don't participate, don't grab those opportunities. So some of you, if you're in the first year, second year, third year, definitely if civil service is in your mind, definitely ensure that you develop your personality by participating in these kind of activities. It is a must, right? Not only to fill in your DAB, but it gives you confidence to talk in front of any kind of audience, right? So it is not just, I have seen people, I mean, it is very unfortunate. So you had a very good platform where you could have taken part in so many activities, but you didn't do that. Once you finish the college, it is the end. You will never get such kind of opportunities anywhere. There may be seminars going on. For example, today in newspaper I was reading top 10 universities in India. The number one is not engineering colleges, university. Yeah, Indian Institute of Science, right? The second one is JNU. Third one is Jamia Millia, right? Fourth one is Jadavpur University. Fifth one is Banaras Hindu University. So these are the top 5 universities in India. Now, IISc is located in Bangalore. If you go to IISc, every week there will be a seminar on something, on cutting edge research, something advanced happening in any kind of fields. They invite Nobel laureates. They invite, the best talents around the world, right? And the most of these seminars are free for everyone to attend. It is not restricted to students within IISc. So you can just go there, sit there, listen to such kind of lectures. And then there are activities in Bangalore, like there can be marathon, there can be cultural activities, like Chitrakala Parishad, if you are into painting or something. So there are opportunities. Now what happens is that people think that UPSC is all about reading so many books, completing the syllabus, making notes, solving n number of questions and cracking the examination. Before 2013, when there were 2 optionals, people would choose civil engineering, mechanical, mathematics, civil engineering or any other subject, and they used to be for 600 marks, 300, 300. Out of 600, they would score nearly 450 marks, purely through rote learning or because of the understanding of the subject. Only because of optional marks, they would get in top 10 or top 100. There used to be certain cases. I remember one case, there was some Raj Purohit. He got All India rank 2. So out of 600, nearly 550 marks came only from 2 optionals. Right. Remaining general studies papers, he didn't have to he had to score just around 100 plus or something out of 300. So he got All India rank 2. So now it is not the case. You need to be good with everything, including what is there in the syllabus and what is not there in the syllabus. So, like, do you guys participate in these activities? Anybody who is participating in what Indian Foreign Service? You? Huh? You won what? Oh, very good, excellent. So that is Model United Nations. How many of you participated in MUN here? I see very frequently those who come for interview tab. Model United Nations is one thing. And then if somebody is from the law college, moot court, winning in different moot court challenges, that is also there. Any other extracurriculars you have participated? It can be, see, these are what college gives opportunity. In addition to these, there are other hobbies and interests about reading and writing. For example, you should develop reading habit of non-fiction or fiction books. Anybody here who reads books? What kind of books read? Very good. Any non-fiction books? Like non-fiction, you might have heard famous books like Sapiens, right? No? 21 Lessons for 21st Century, Homo Deus. Haven't heard? Okay. It's fine. How many of you are seriously reading newspapers? 1, 2. Some of you answered, which is the top university? 3, 4 people. Right? Only if you are reading newspaper, then only you can answer this. Right? If, okay, how many of you are in first year here? First year of engineering. Okay. Second year? Third year? Fourth, final? Okay. If you are really serious about cracking civil services examination, from today start reading the Hindu newspaper. And if you can access the Indian Express, the Delhi edition, that also, and also Live Mint or Business Standard or Economic Times, right? But you start with the Hindu in the beginning. If you are not reading the Hindu here in the college days, right, the depth which is required to write answers and essays for the UPSC examination, right, you will never gain it post your graduation when you start with the coaching. Unfortunately, everyone who comes for admission, doesn't matter which college they come from, they have this aspiration, I want to become IAS. No, it's a childhood dream. In childhood, they want to become IAS. Their parents have told, they have seen DC, IPS people, and they have grown up with this particular dream. But for some reasons, they don't have the habit of reading newspapers. If you read newspapers every day, at least for my recommendation is 2 hours minimum every day. Right? Start with half an hour, move to 1 hour, and then read for 2 hours. So those who are in first year, if you start reading newspaper from now, in one attempt, easily you can crack the examination, right? Those who are in second and third year, we give more time to newspapers every day. It is very easy to crack this examination in one attempt because in prelims, in paper one, 30 to 40 questions are current affair based. In prelims, GS paper one, which means around 75 to 80 marks, you can score only by current affairs. The cutoff is around 88. This year it will come around 82 to 83. It will again reduce. So around 75-80 marks if your current affair knowledge is good, and rest the coaching will take care. Where you study, economy, geography, polity, environment, and everything, right? And in mains, nearly 80% of it is current affairs based. All the questions, 80% of them. Even if it is a modern history question, they ask it based on its relevance in the current affairs. If it is related to some current affair, then only they will ask a question in the mains, right? For example, if it was a birth centenary of Rabindranath Tagore, right? So the question on Tagore will be there, maybe by comparing with another nationalist, another poet, or another freedom fighter, but there will be a question on it, right? So if you have read about these people in current affairs, it becomes easy for you. And reading newspaper, especially editorial, right, is very important. Not just because questions will come in the examination, mainly because, as I was speaking about personality, it adds to your thinking ability. The critical thinking part, analytical thinking part, you cannot develop just by, reading the usual textbooks, right? They should be, when you're reading an article, for example, if somebody is reading an article, what happens? There is a parallel train of thoughts which goes, right? Like when you're reading some article, there is a parallel flow of ideas and thoughts. So you may agree with the writer, you may disagree with the writer, what is being communicated in the article, right? So you start slowly thinking, but that is still a passive thinking, right? So after reading the article, what happens? You forget the whatever ideas you had got while reading the article. You usually forget because you move on with another task or another reading material or anything, right? So if somebody can write those thoughts, that is where answer writing practice comes into picture. So we have this initiative called a secure initiative on our website. So insightsonindia.com. You just Google INSIG, the Google will recommend our website. So it is the most visited website for civil services preparation in India. So every day 1.2 to 1.5 lakh unique visitors visit this particular website. So there are websites by Baiju and Unacademy because they are far ahead in terms of traffic because they cover each and every exam in India, starting with LKG to the GATE and all the PG, NEET exam, everything. So ours is only focused on civil services, UPSC civil services, not even forest services, right? Only civil services. So everyone who is part of taking seriously civil service examination, they visit the website. And it became popular mainly because of the secure initiative and the current affairs, right? So what we do is that secure initiative every day based on the newspaper editorials. Let us say if there is an editorial about the recent train tragedy that took place in Odisha, Balasore, right? So there may be different types of opinions. One writer will write that because India didn't focus on the safety systems. So that is why the priority was misplaced. Instead of focusing on the basics related to safety and basic infrastructure, the government was focusing on the high-speed train, luxury train, something like this. So other is writing. So now we will ask you a question, right? That do you think it was a failure on the part of the government that its misplaced priorities led to the train tragedy? We are not giving details in the question, right? So what this question does to you is that it will force you to think whether it is the fault of the government or no fault of the government. You will have to start finding the answer. Finding the answer means finding the arguments to support or to go against. You can go against the question. You can say that no, there is no government fault also. Ideally, both the sides should be there in the answer. That is what means. That is what is objectivity. Looking at the both sides of the argument and concluding. So for every argument you are making, you will need facts and examples also, right? So for example, you can say that the government introduced this particular scheme in 2015 itself, right? And it led to this much of introduction of this much technology in these many parts of the railways or something. I'm just giving hypothetical argument here. So the point I'm trying to communicate is that when you start reading newspaper, right, you will get ideas from the writers who are writing in the newspaper, and if you can accommodate your own ideas through answer writing using this initiative, you will reach the next level of UPSC preparation. So if you have seen the interview of rank 1 this year, she said that it is because of her excessive focus on answer writing practice. So this is a statement that you clearly hear from most of the toppers. Because of excessive focus on answer writing, she was able to get All India rank 1. Scoring 901 in mains is a very big achievement. Right? So most of the ranks after 300, their scores is around 770 to 800 or 750 to 800. Right? So she is ahead of all the other candidates by 100 marks. So if she has scored around 113 General Studies paper 1. So General Studies paper 1 has broadly art and culture from ancient to modern times, world history, modern history, Indian society, geography, and then something related to resources, right? So these are the broad topics. So only if our knowledge about all these topics is deep and also diverse, right? Then only she can write best of the answers. And another thing is that her handwriting is very beautiful, the presentation skills. So some people will have deep knowledge, content, everything that I talked about. But like in interview, if you cannot clearly present in mains also on the paper, then also you won't score good marks. So you have to, if you want to excel in civil services examination, you have to start from basics to advanced. Basic, starting with the good handwriting, good presentation to good structuring, and then having very good content. So the early you start preparation, early means, what I mean is that not coaching. I would never recommend anybody who is in first year, second year to go for UPSC coaching. Third year is the ideal time to join coaching, provided if you can get 6 hours every day. Apart from your college days, if you can get 6 hours. First and second year I don't recommend, because first and second year is the year where you enjoy your college life, right? Where you participate in every activity. You focus on, because first year you are taught the basics. Second year again you are introduced to your core subjects. So that is the time when you have to be disciplined in your particular discipline also, and enjoy the college campus activities. If these two are not taking place, if suddenly somebody plunges into UPSC preparation, you are doing at the cost of personality development. So it should not be done. Third year, why it is ideal? Third year, if you take classes, fourth year you can focus only on the answer writing part. So there is something called mains test series, right? So once you complete classes for 1 year, fourth year you can totally focus on the only answer writing practice. So first year 6 hours every day, second year 6 hours every day will prepare you for UPSC examination by the time you graduate, right? So that should be the broad plan. Now, so moving to what you can do in third year. If you have decided to join coaching, there is online option, there is offline option. So our institution is located exactly 25 minutes from here. It is in Chandra Layout, Vijayanagar. If you search Insights IAS in Google, you will get the location, right? So we have batch from 5:30 p.m. also. If somebody is interested, you can join that offline batch. Or if you are located in hostel here, if you have very good study environment, or if you have a peer group of 3-4 people, then you can join online classes, watch in your room. But after the classes, you have to do revision of what is being told in the class. You write lots of stuff in the class. So they do research of so many books, and then they teach you about the subject. So class notes, and then we recommend compulsorily reading of the NCERT books. NCERT, there is a controversy going on NCERT, which is not relevant to this discussion. But NCERT is said to be the foundation for your general studies. Apart from the current affairs, all the static component. What is static component? Like history, art and culture, right? Or geography. The concept of geography doesn't change with the time, right? So whereas something issue related to politics or society, there is something called social change. Society keeps changing, values keep changing, right? Because of various events. So that is called dynamic portion. So the static part that is there in NCERT is very fundamental, because you have syllabus in front of you, right? So if you see that, as I said earlier, in General Studies paper 1, the first topic says that you have to be thorough with art and culture from ancient to modern times. Now it doesn't talk about what are the topics that UPSC is going to ask within art and culture. From ancient to modern times, you have, Paleolithic caves where people were living in caves. There was cave painting, cave arts, right? From that time to present time. So, like if somebody is from BR, architecture or even civil, like you will see that there is art, right, which is created even today, maybe in terms of architecture, paint, or performing arts or anything. So the UPSC syllabus is not descriptive. It doesn't talk about which art, from which region, which country, nothing. So NCERT is the descriptive form of your syllabus. Got it? So NCERT gives you which topics to study under art and culture. Anything from class 6 to class 12. Anything related to art and culture. Anything related to modern history. Anything related to ancient medieval history that is there in NCERT is the topic that you should master. Right? Again, you should master this topic not to the NCERT level. What is given in NCERT is a very basic concepts. Right? UPSC exam is not your school test, 11th or 12th CBSE test, right? It is the test of application of those concepts and the knowledge you have built on those concepts. It is basically a foundation, right? So based on the boundary that NCERT has given for every topic, you have to go on building your knowledge blocks. And again, to what extent you will build, right? So going by civil engineering parlance, you have Burj Khalifa, highest building in the world, or you have one floor building somewhere, right? Now, where do you put the limit, right? You cannot go on and building it, right? So that becomes research. So you cannot do research on a topic. So to guide you in that respect, so last 25 to 27 year question papers, right? So they are your best guide. Got it? So for example, there is Buddhism chapter in NCERT. Class 6 to class 12, in most of the history textbooks, you will see in a scattered manner, there is a chapter on Buddhism. Now, if you Google Buddhism, right, you will get like so much. There are lakhs of books written on Buddhism, lakhs of millions of articles available, and there are Buddhism specific websites. So you don't have to read everything, right? So if you look at last 27 year question papers, at least 15 to 16 years, you will see that there are different types of questions asked at the Buddhism, right? Some concepts which are not there in NCERT, some concepts which are directly there in NCERT, but most of the concepts that are asked in last few years are somewhere directly or indirectly related to what is there in the NCERT. So that becomes your depth or right, whatever you call it, to what extent you need to read. So if you are serious about this examination, when you are in the very preliminary stage, memorize the syllabus, complete NCERT books, and like as and when you get time, I won't say every day, keep track of previous year question papers, right? Somebody who is extra ambitious in the audience, somebody who really wants to crack this examination at the age of 21, right? So if you can literally read each and every topic that is mentioned in NCERT to the depth that is given in previous year question papers, and within question papers you will see some new concepts as part of the options. You have seen UPSC question, there will be 2 options, 3 options, 4 options below the question. So for every option there can be a new concept, new place, new word, new event that can be introduced, right? On that also if you can read, and by the time you reach your 4th year, if you can complete these 3 exercises, reading newspaper, mastering NCERT, mastering last 25-26 years of prelims question papers, and the last 10 years UPSC mains question papers, you won't need coaching and you can independently go and write examination. All you need will be guidance for writing answers, right? You can enroll directly to answer writing program, and you can come there also. We excel. We have very good team, which including me, which guides in answer writing and essay writing and ethics answer writing. You can bring your answers, right, and get the guidance, and in one attempt you can go on to crack the examination. So it is a possibility if you plan early in your preparation stage. So luckily, I heard that most of you are from civil engineering department. So for you, there are other government opportunities, right? In Karnataka, they frequently call examinations. In every department, civil engineer is needed nowadays. Whether it is electrical or PWD, irrigation, rural development, and panchayat raj, all these departments keep calling, announcing vacancies. So if you want job security, maybe you can be very good with your civil engineering field and get into those jobs and then continue with the UPSC preparation. Or no, if you want only UPSC, so everything I told you start doing from now onwards and you will be eligible. I think if you're in the first year, you will be eligible in 28, I think, 2028, right? And those who are in the final year, next year is your plan, 2024. You can, your course will get over when? It is got over, right? Almost got over. Now we have started a new batch. If you're interested, you can come and join. You can just inquire. So no forcing of anything. So what I suggest is that you should not go by my word. Our institution is definitely a good institution. But you should not go by my word. When you come to institution, you talk to students who are already taking classes. And maybe you can sit in few demo classes, right? Few demo classes. And then going by the quality of demo classes and feedback given by the students, then you can decide to enroll into our institution. Is anybody on Twitter here? Are you following me on Twitter? You following me on Twitter? Good. Thank you. So others are not on Twitter. Elon Musk owns Twitter and is on Twitter. I'm sure everybody knows about Elon Musk, right? Must be following him in news. So the reason I mentioned is that I just wanted to boast about myself. I'm popular on Twitter. Among all the civil services people who are there on Twitter, I think I'm a bit more popular. I keep voicing my opinion about issues as well as anything related to civil services. You can afford to be on Twitter right now, not during your serious civil service preparation days because you're still in college. You can search at Vinay GB, right? So I keep sharing about some tips regarding civil services, the trend happening with the civil services. So that you are always in touch with the civil service related exam. But never forget what I talked about in the beginning, right? Syllabus definitely looks enormous. There are so much to read, but that doesn't mean that you stay away from all the extracurricular activities. If you still have any opportunity, please participate. And again, there is a famous hobby of trekking. How many of you have gone for trekking? Very few. Where did you go? You, yes. Kumar Parvat. Okay. What about you? Savandurga event. Very good. Skandagiri also. So Bangalore offers that unique opportunity. Trekking can be a serious hobby, right? You have so many. I read somewhere around 40 around locations are there. So within the 100-150 kilometer vicinity of Bengaluru, which provide you that opportunity. So you can go for trekking also, right? So go, explore the world, meet people, talk to people, and now what is happening is that in preliminary examination, even if somebody is very serious with respect to their preparation, they fail because they become anxious, right? They have huge expectation that they have to crack this examination. They have expectation from parents, they have their own expectations, and most of the college education doesn't prepare them to face uncertainty. The unexpected things suddenly, that happen in our life. You're not prepared mentally to face them. You are always, seeking certainty, like this much CGPA is required. This paper must be cleared. Right? It goes on happening as planned in your college days. But in UPSC, it doesn't happen like that. Right? So there can be failures. Right? During the examination stages, you may fail in prelims, you may fail in mains, you may fail in the interview stage. Right? But anybody who knows how to handle failures, anybody who can go through failure and stay unaffected by failure is the winner in this kind of examination of it is. Right? So this is very important. So ensure that, that is why I keep talking about wherever I go, that you need to be ready for these kind of stuff by participating. If you don't get lots of experiences in your life, if you don't meet people, it is very difficult to face these kind of troubles that come in your life, right? So this is the broad, thing that I wanted to discuss here. If you have any questions, you can ask. Any question related to UPSC civil services. So before that, I'll just talk about optional subject. So there are, around, including all the literature, 30 plus optional subjects are there. Now, very popular optional subjects as per the UPSC report itself is political science, sociology, anthropology, then to some extent mathematics is also popular, and then geography, and then literature subjects like Kannada literature, Telugu, Hindi literature, and then comes the public administration, psychology, and history, and then philosophy. But if you want to crack this examination, see 86% of the engineers choose humanity subjects, right? Very few people choose their own core subjects like mechanical, civil, electrical. These three are the engineering subjects available for engineers. So I would never recommend civil engineering as your optional subject. So what could be the reasons? The reasons is that obviously you may have done well, you may not have done well during college days, mostly not well, right? So you haven't passionately pursued civil engineering, like as if you want to be a civil engineer, like dreaming about becoming good civil engineer, right? Dreaming about building. I used to ask one interesting question whenever. So there was this IIT Kharagpur guy, both BTech civil engineering and MTech structural engineering something. So what it takes to build an ordinary building on Mars, because Elon Musk wants to colonize Mars, right? So if you come from civil engineering field, can you explain me if he hires you to build homes on Mars, right? So what are the basic things that you should keep in mind? It's just a random question. I was curious. I wanted him to talk about the gravity of Mars. I wanted him to talk about the materials available on Mars, right? I wanted him to talk about the whatever strength and other things that you talk about, right? So what kind of material he will use based on the common sense, provided he knew about the nature of geology and atmosphere that is there in the Mars. It was a random question. So very rarely people think in this direction. That is what passion I was talking about. If you're a civil engineer, you'll be thinking about it, right? So if you have passionately pursued civil engineering and if you know each and every concept, then take civil engineering as your optional. If it was just for the sake of examination that you have done, never take civil engineering, because next 4 years you will again reading civil engineering. I'm mentioning 4 years. With civil engineering like subject, it is difficult to crack this exam in 1, 2, 3 attempts. Because to master this subject, it is to the master's level the questions come. The syllabus appears bachelor's level, but the questions demand master level depth. Usually, those who are done post graduation in medical science or in engineering, they go on to score 280 plus to 280 to 300 in optional. Otherwise, it is very difficult. So, check syllabus of political science, sociology, anthropology, and anthropology. If you had biology in 12th, anthropology is what? It is called as Manavika Shastra. It is basically reading about evolution of humans and evolution of human society and culture, right? How human cultures evolve, how human cultures are different, why they are different, and how they influence humans and their surroundings, right? So the biology part is the evolution of humans. So all the genetic stuff that you read, the Darwin theory and other things. So if you had biology in 12, maybe you can think of anthropology. So these three are most popular optionals, and when I said third year coaching, right? Third year you can focus on the general studies. Fourth year you can do optional. So don't try to do both optional and GS in your third year. So because it requires 9 hours of preparation at least for 6 months, apart from your college timing, which is impossible, right? So when you have this project time during your second year, usually final semester, right? So during that time, it is better to do your optional subject. So, any questions? Did I answer all your doubts? Or did I cover everything? What about you, Twitter? Hmm. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you crack this exam in one attempt. Because you can like only when you have similar mentality, right? You can appreciate only when you think similarly. That is why. So I might look like very ordinary individual sitting here. I'm not very ordinary. I mean, in a way that some of you might be thinking, because usually you have people coming and. But I like to interact with students. Even in my cabin, every day I come and sit, and I ensure that everyone who walks in, I interact with them. Not so ordinary means I become little popular in this field. That's it. It is not like I'm extraordinary or anything. In civil services field, kind of I'm the most sought after person for guidance as of now. People come from Delhi, they take flights from Delhi just for 10 minutes of my time. Very good. So his question is how to decide whether civil services is right career, right? So now civil services, the way now you see that India is on the cusp of becoming a global power. Maybe in another 10 years, we will be global, not like to the US level, but almost equal to the US in terms of being superpower, right? So now it is this whole process of becoming a developed country, becoming superpower, is driven by bureaucrats, civil servants, both serving outside India and serving within India. Like, what is the highest possible thing you can achieve in civil engineering? In your field, if you continue to be a civil engineer. If you continue in government, chief engineer, and after chief engineer, secretary to the government, right? And the secretary always reports to additional chief secretary, who is an IAS officer in Karnataka, if you go by the hierarchy, right? The IAS officer may be 10 years younger than you, right? And this is small example. Now, if somebody is ambitious in your own field, you can build your own company, you can become entrepreneur, right? So why civil services is that this is the only job that will allow you to work in so many diverse departments. So for 2 years, you can be in the irrigation department, and then you can be in the information technology and any other technology related department, and another 2 years health department, and the another 2 years like maybe space department, another 2 years education, agriculture, you name any department, IAS is given chance to implement all the policy schemes related to any department that comes under the government of India. So that makes you a different person in terms of in your knowledge, in your experience. So when you have touched diverse fields, gained experience from diverse fields, right? So you become invaluable to the society. Your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, provided you are done passionately. Not everybody does, right? But see, you may have a wrong perception about IAS being corrupt, right? But what I believe is that it is less than 10% of people who are corrupt in IAS. Majority are doing their job very well, and they don't come to the limelight. You will never see. two important qualities for an IAS officer is one is anonymity, second one is the neutrality, political neutrality especially. Anonymity is staying behind the screens and working for the country. So there are thousands of such IAS officers. So they will never come to limelight. All the limelight is hogged by politicians, right? So when there is a failure, they put civil servant in front of them. When there is a success, they come in front of them and get the all the name, fame, and popularity. So that is how the country is running. But that is how people believe this country is running. Politicians run, but it is civil servants, right? So the neutrality is when you are politically neutral, right? Nobody will give any credit to you. So you don't get to see them doesn't mean that it is a service may not be suitable for you. So it gives so much opportunity. And then there are opportunity for you to go for higher education. Maybe after 9 years into civil services, so you will be given opportunity to study in MIT, Harvard, Stanford, wherever you want to study for higher education. So that kind of opportunities are there. And then when you come back by doing those kind of courses, you'll get like quick promotions. For example, in Prime Minister's office, right? So there may be based on your specialization that you have pursued. So they can put you in that department, right? As head of that particular department, which affects 142 billion people in India. So not just like few thousands here and there. For example, an education health secretary to the union government, right, or transport secretary to the union government. When they, like for example, even that new education policy. So that policy is for everyone. And the brains behind them are like when you become civil servant, IAS officers, right? Similarly, IPS also. It is also a very beautiful service. And again, IPS is also getting diversified because of all the cyber crimes, all the new types of crimes that are evolving. And now the crimes are transnational in nature, right? The drug-related crimes, terrorist-related crimes. So IPS people get also foreign assignments. So they go to foreign countries. And internally you have different challenges. So you will, just in your branch or when you settle with any normal government job like assistant engineer, junior engineer, you will never get to see so many sides of life. And just not seeing, just being part of those sides of life and experiencing them and contributing to the society. So I used to give an example, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Andolan, right? So Haryana used to have worst sex ratio in the country. So if the country was having 940 plus, it used to have around 860, 870, right? Like for example, for every 1,000 men, there were around 870 females available. So there was one IAS officer, sorry, I forgot his name, he's from IIT Delhi. When I went to IIT Delhi, I gave this example, Rakesh Kumar or someone. So he was made the nodal in charge for implementing Beti Bachao Beti Padhao in Haryana between 2014 to 2019. During that time, he was so instrumental. He inspired all the people working on the ground, all the departments. The sex ratio improved to 924 something in 5 years. You know what it means? In 5 years, he was able to save lakhs of girl children who would have been killed, maybe in home, infanticide, feticide, right? So, as a doctor, you may have your own nursing home, your own hospital, you may provide service for thousands of people. But as an IAS officer, the benefits you provide to society, which is actually your duty, basically your duty, which you should not never get credit, is immeasurable. Is really something that there are IAS officers, district collectors who are worshipped. For some people, there are temples built in some parts of country. So, see again, what is the gain and loss when you prepare for the examination? You are not going to lose anything. My suggestion: give 2 years of your preparation. If you start early after graduation, you don't have to waste any time. You can get into MBA in IIM, or you can go for MS in good foreign university, right? Like if you are thinking in that direction, you can give one attempt and you can exit. So my suggestion is give 2 years, and those 2 years, if it is very intense, all you will end up with Even if you fail in the exam, is huge knowledge, right? And that knowledge can be useful anywhere in any field, right? So 2 attempt maximum, right? With all the intensity, with all the honesty. After that, you can choose your path. You can go back to job, or you can become entrepreneur. You can go to foreign and get into higher education. And through higher education, you can come back to civil services. So that is up to you. But my suggestion: give 2 years of intense preparation. Right. So these are the things I wanted to convey to all of you. Any question?
When reading editorials, after reading some 3 to 4 paragraphs, I'm thinking what I'm reading. How to read editorials?
Okay. See, editorial. What is editorial basically? So there are 2 parts in the editorial page. One, editorial means there are 2 articles written by the editorial team of the newspaper. So any issue, the 5-6 people or more than 5-6 people who are part of the editorial. The Hindu has team of editors, right? Senior editor, deputy editor, something like this. So they sit, discuss, and they come up with the opinion. That is the opinion of the newspaper, right? About railway incident, what is the opinion? So in addition to opinion, they give recommendations also. They give suggestions to the government or concerned authorities what needs to be done. So usually that is simple part. The left side you see, no? So that is not much complicated. The right side, you invite people from different fields, experts, columnists. So that becomes complex because everyone will not write in a simple manner, right? They come from like core academic background and they try to write in a very complex jargon. So my suggestion is that to understand these kind of editorials, first you should be aware of the issues itself, right? The other news, national, international news, you should passionately follow. Second, you should build your vocabulary for that. So to build vocabulary, there is one beautiful book, Word Power Made Easy. Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. Word Power Made Easy. It is a 150 rupees book available in any bookstall, Amazon or anything. It used to come in red color, the cover, I don't know now. Word Power Made Easy. So it has so many chapters on how to know the meaning of a word just by looking at the word, right? So it takes around 30 to 40 days for you to complete the book with exercises. If you complete that book, every word that is appearing in the Hindu newspaper will be easily understood by you. So now you know the language, you understand the language. Now to understand the opinion, what they are trying to say, the sentences and all. So it is a process which evolves with time, right? As your understanding of the issues deepens, you will start understanding what they are conveying. So you have to give yourself more time. You keep reading them again and again. So what happened? In my understanding, like when people start reading newspaper, it usually takes 3 to 4 months for them to start making sense of what is communicated in these newspapers. So if you have recently started, don't give up. First build vocabulary, read all the news which is there, and keep reading editorial, you will understand. And not only understanding, as I said, secure initiative. So you'll reach a position where you can start communicating your ideas as well. Okay. Yes. Correct. Correct. How to be prepared for next attempt, right? So very briefly, she's asking is that, so this year the paper was difficult in terms of the uncertain nature of the question that aspirant faced. They had never faced that kind of question in its form, structure. So earlier, people would eliminate. For example, there used to be a question, 3 statements. They would ask which of the above statements is are correct, is or are correct. So they would give only one only, 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, or 1, 2, 3 something. If somebody knew that 1 is for sure wrong, right? They don't have to read 2 and 3, right? If there is 2 and 3 option, they would have answered 2 and 3. without reading other options, they would have easily found out the answer. You got this point, right? Now it is not like that. What they have given is only one correct. One of the option is correct. Two options are correct. Three options are correct. All four options are correct. It is not like they are not giving any opportunity to select within the options like 1 and 2, 2 and 3. They are saying out of these three options, only one is correct. Out of these three, only two are correct. You don't know which two are. So now what they are doing is that they are forcing you to know all the options for sure. If it is a fact related question, you should compulsorily know the fact. If it is concept related question or definition, right? Or application of a concept, that also with certainty you should know. Right? Now, how will you know? One is, as I said, first your basics must be solid. Second one, on that basic you should go on building your knowledge based on the curiosity. You should diversify, you should branch into different things. Right? So for that the boundary I gave you the previous year questions. But even then, you will not reach certain depths, sometimes what the UPSC is asking. So for that, what I recommend is that at least minimum 20,000 MCQs one should solve before next year prelims, right? So 20,000 questions means, maybe like 20,000 question means every question will have minimum two options, right? That means 40,000 different options. You have to be familiar with as many options as possible to know which option is correct or wrong, right? So practice becomes a core part of your preparation. If you're only reading, you will never be able to remember, right? Like if you're reading entire chapter, what is written in a chapter, right? So it is very difficult to remember each and every word. But if you solve through question, you will remember. Now to answer our question, now that the UPSC might invent another type of different question, right? Even if it invents different question, it always comes down to certainty of the knowledge, right? So what is given in the question, you should know for sure. So that is the reason it might ask, there was another type of question. Statement 1 is correct, statement 1 and 2 both are correct, but statement 2 is not the explanation of statement 1. Statement 1 and 2 are correct, and statement 2 is also the explanation of the statement 1. Statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is wrong. Both the statements are wrong. Something like this. So now, if you should know that first statement and second statement, if they are related or not also. So they are mostly conceptual questions, or the logical conclusion you can derive based on inference you can make. Right? It could be the outcome of this particular option. It is applying your mind. So don't get scared because of these kind of questions. Ultimately, they are testing your common sense, your proper understanding of your basics, and the amount of knowledge you have built based on these concepts. Okay. Do more practice. If you are giving in 24, my suggestion is minimum 20,000 MCQs. And also, if you can integrate with answer writing. Let us say you write some 10 different answers over a period of like 6 months on artificial intelligence, right? And let's say you write one essay on artificial intelligence. Any question on artificial intelligence in prelims, you will know the answer, right? Because you would have written 150 word, 250 word answers, so you will know the answer. So, shall we conclude? So if you need any guidance, definitely visit our institution, right? You don't have to pay any fees if you want to talk also, right? So wish you all the best, and thank you BMS and all the volunteers for giving me an opportunity to come and talk. I don't expect huge crowd. What I expect is serious crowd. Even if it is 5 individuals, 10 individuals, I'm always very happy to talk. So I'm happy that everyone sitting listened each and every word very attentively. And I could see some of you are really curious about, listening to whatever I talked in the session. And you also asked very good questions. Thank you so much.